Good morning, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center. Today is the 29th of November, and the moon is in Pisces. It's in Pisces until 8:08 this evening on the East Coast, anyway, when it moves into Aries. That is a big shift, Pisces to Aries. It's actually a shift that we're very familiar with in 2025, considering we've had many planets go over that cusp between the last degree of the zodiac and the first degree of the zodiac. Today, we have two important things happening. One is Mercury is stationing direct at 21 degrees of Scorpio, which is making people, I'm sure, people relieved. And we also have an opposition between Uranus and Venus. So I'm going to pull up the chart so we can take a look at this. And this is the clock, the chart right this moment. It is 9:13 here on the east coast of the U.S. And we see the sun here rising up at 8 degrees of Sag right now. And here's Venus very close to the sun. That means that we can no longer see Venus as morning star. She has gone under the rays of the sun. And Venus is going to be out of the sky while she's there, but she'll be moving with the sun and on the other side of the sun, so we won't see her. But she will be in what we might consider the underworld because we can't see her for about 83 days. In January, she's going to have another conjunction with the sun. This time, Venus is direct, and so that is actually the start of a new star cycle, Venus star cycle. Right now, Venus is still in her Aries star cycle, which occurred, Venus star point, I should say, which occurred when that began actually when Venus was retrograde in Aries and conjoined the sun. Um, and and so that particular Venus as morning star, which is Venus as morning star, is much more aggressive, really warlike, willing to step out into the fray once she conjoins in in January. Then she will come up as the evening star, and that's a much different Venus energy. It's much more laid back. It's kind of what Venus is known for. Um, but either way, Venus is a pretty powerful energy. So let's talk about the things happening. Here we can see that Mercury is stationary at 20 and change of Scorpio. Um, and it's actually Mercury is hermaphroditic. Don't tell the right wing that Hermes has both, or is androgynous, right? The original, whatever I want to call myself, kind of planet there. Anyway, at 21 of Scorpio. So I'm going to read the Sabian symbol because they always seem to be quite apt. And we have a soldier derelict in his duty, 21 degrees of Scorpio, conscientious objection. Sometimes we must follow our conscience and face the consequences of society's disapproval, being true to ourselves. And I read this from James Burgess website called jamesburgess.com. It's on the Sabian symbols. I would suggest if you haven't checked it out, it's a plethora and a treasure chest of information. We are tested to find out how deep and authentic is our conscience. There is no escaping this because spiritual values are at variance with the values of society to a significant degree. And boy, haven't we seen that here in the US. This is particularly true of armed conflict when normally the individual is forbidden to commit acts of violence because it is morally wrong, but the state may demand it of its citizens because it is said to be right when defending the nation every time, even at times when the nation is not under attack When tested on issues of conscience, it is good to reflect upon the spiritual benefit of standing on matters of principle. Standing on matters of principle. What an interesting Sabian symbol for this Mercury in deep, penetrating Scorpio, getting down to the heart of the matter. And now it's going to start to move forward, and it isn't going to be out of its shadow until well into December, but at least things will start to feel anyway like they're moving forward. Not without some challenges, but certainly much easier moving forward than it was before. And then the other thing that's going on is the opposition to Venus and Uranus. So as we look at the chart here, here's Uranus at 30 degrees of Taurus, and Venus is not quite there yet. This opposition happens later tonight, I think around 8 o'clock tonight, is it? 8:08, I think. No, that's when the moon changes. Anyway, um, it will be making the exact opposition. Now, oppositions are points of awareness. Oppositions is when whatever was planted at the initial conjunction comes to fruition. Well, I do happen to have the initial conjunction here when these two planets conjoined. And let me share that with you. I have to take you to someplace else here. Okay, here we go. Um, So this was the initial conjunction of the opposition at this point. So this is the halfway point, right? And so let's see, where was the conjunction? Here it is, up here in the 10th house. It was at 30 degrees of Taurus. Now, this is a chart for the US because it's Washington, D.C. And notice the date here, July 4th, 2025. So, July 4th, the birthday of the United States, was found. I mean, we had this conjunction of Venus, the planet of values, Uranus, the planet of sudden out of nowhere shocks, right? It's disruptive. And Taurus deals with money. And so so this would have been something planted around money, resources. 10th house is the house of the president. Okay. Now we come to the opposition. And actually, let me do that opposition. Hold on one moment here. I will pull the opposition up, the exact opposition. So this is the exact opposition that's happening tonight. Oh, 9:48 Washington, D.C. time. And we have, let's see, here's Uranus. Oh, back up in the 10th house. And here's Venus down here in the 4th house. Um, this is the house of the outer authority. This is the house of the inner authority. This is the house of the president. This would be the house of the people. We are as far apart as we can be. And we're dealing with the 30th degree of Taurus and the 30th degree of Venus. Now, the interesting thing about this conjunction that started on the 4th of July and has come to its halfway point now on November 29th is that we're going to have a conjunction of these two planets in April of next year because this synodic cycle between um, Venus and Uranus is a year-long cycle. But this, and here it is, this is the day, April 23rd, 2026. And take notice of where the conjunction is. It's still at the last degree of Taurus. So the same ideas around resources, only this time it's in the seventh house of friends, partners, and open enemies. And Venus is our values, and Taurus is our core values, really. So this is going to be very interesting to see how this manifests itself this next cycle. But right now we're at the cycle where um, we have Venus opposite um, Uranus. Oops, wrong one. Where are we? Nope, sorry. Am I making you dizzy yet? No, it's this one. Okay, there we go. There we go. Uranus, Venus. Now, I'm going to read you the Sabian symbols because the Sabian symbols that started this particular cycle between Venus and Uranus. Is this going to be the same Sabian symbol that starts a new cycle next year? And then I'll talk about the Scorpio energy at the last degree, the 29th degree of Scorpio, or is it 30th degree? The 30th degree of Scorpio. Okay, so let's talk about the Taurus energy first here. Just give me a moment. I have to pull it up. So 30 degrees of Taurus, where this synodic cycle began on July 4th, which incidentally, July 4th was this vibration for the United States. This is the vibration for the solar return of the United States, and it's about awakening. It's about waking up from your slumber, waking up from the idea that you that you only are your body or your this life is the only life, and wake up to the truth of your own soul. Um, and today, the energy for the opposition is this energy, the Nine of Cups, which I always see as uh, Little Lord Fauntleroy with his red hat, saying, "These are all my cups, and you can't have them." Okay, so a realization of perhaps the sense of entitlement that perhaps the people in power, the 10th house, where that conjunction occurred on July 4th. So let me read to you 30 degrees of Taurus. So this is the initial energy. It says a peacock parading on an ancient lawn. Our embellishment, our personal displays of excellence bears testimony to all that went before us, embellishing our life expression. So I can think of a certain peacock who's embellishing his expression uh, with maybe a ballroom or something, which I looked at a picture of it today. Doesn't look like much is going on, but a big giant mess, which, shocker among shockers, right? Okay. So let's now look at the 30th degree of Scorpio, which is where Venus sits in this opposition. All right, so let me find Scorpio here. The 30th degree of Scorpio, the Halloween jester. Letting off steam. Civilization can tame our instincts only to a certain extent, and society therefore has to allow moments of controlled madness. Allowing a measure of wildness reveals our darker secrets. So it's a very interesting moment that we find ourselves in, quite frankly. Um, so just to repeat, the opposite to this is today's energy for the day. The Nine of Cups. I do want to say something about Uranus and Venus, just as a planetary pair. This is not a good time to start a new relationship because we tend to like the excitement that Uranus brings into a situation, but it also brings a certain amount of instability. Now, it is possible that you do get in a relationship where you meet somebody, but and I'm thinking more like romantic wise, but it could be a friend. One way or the other, something surprising is going to come out of it, whether it's good or bad. Well, that'll depend. Myself, my own personal experiences when Uranus and Venus are doing hard aspects to your chart, it's better to be a little bit more cautious because it can cost you a lot of suffering and a lot of money. So be aware of that. So if it's too good, if it sounds too good to be true, it likely is. Remember, Mercury goes direct now, and so things are going to start to ease up. It's still going to be in Scorpio before it gets into Sag, so we're still sort of moving through that Scorpio energy, which means more and more things will be revealed. It is going to now go back over where it had been. It's going to be making a conjunction eventually to Black Moon Lilith, which is still in Scorpio. So we can expect to hear more stuff. More stuff is coming out. Things that have been hidden will be revealed. It's going to be an interesting. It's going to be an interesting rest of the year for sure, and a likely an interesting day. Have yourself a great day. Enjoy us. Join us tonight. Sorry for Mystic Sisters live on this channel, 7 Eastern, 6 Central. I'm sure we'll have many WTF questions. A lot of stuff happened this week, and we'll try to do our best to navigate. All right. Take care, everyone. Much love. Namaste.